Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. We have cooled our interest in Jadon Sancho. According to David Ornstein from The Athletic, Mason Greenwood's progress and his new contract is the main reason why we are no longer in for Jadon Sancho. A centre-back and a forward are our two priorities. Sports Kicker said not so long ago that a Jadon Sancho transfer is coming in the summer. And it said we'd been handed a huge boost in our pursuit of Jadon Sancho. Dortmund face a summer of transfer exits. There was narratives coming out the other week saying that Dortmund could sell up to 8 players to raise funds. And it says Dortmund could only sell Sancho this summer on one condition. That's if they can keep Erling Haaland. So what they're saying on that aspect is that they don't want to let both players go in the summer. Bild said earlier on this season that Dortmund reduced their asking price for Sancho to £88 million. Last summer, Jadon Sancho was our number one priority target. Borussia Dortmund's valuation was £108 million. We was not willing to meet that valuation. We was only willing to pay so much up front. But it said a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed and the agent fees had been agreed and even a contract had been agreed. But the actual valuation was the stumbling block. Alright. Oh, that's alright then. But Dortmund made it clear to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We obviously missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Borussia Dortmund. Fabrizio Romano, who's a very reliable Italian journalist and is close to Man United, he's spoken a lot about the Jadon Sancho transfer saga, and so too has Bild's Christian Farke. Dortmund have enjoyed a pretty poor season. Sancho made an admission earlier on this season saying that he has enjoyed a difficult season at Dortmund, but analysing the vast majority of his career, he's been very consistent. I think this is Jadon Sancho's 4th season at Dortmund. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2023. Dortmund paid just £8 million for Sancho from Man City back in 2017. He enjoyed a couple of years at Man City, but the main explanation he left Manchester City is because he didn't get assured any first-team opportunities. And before he was at City, he was at Watford. He was at Watford from the age of 7 to the age of 14. Now, you know the news on Erling Haaland. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to sign Erling Haaland. It'd be good to see Solskjaer reunite with the player. You know, Solskjaer knows the player really, really well because Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. Now, apparently, Erling Haaland's demanding a 70 million EA contract, which equates to around £300,000 a week. Solskjaer recently made a new Erling Haaland transfer admission and opened up on the Erling Haaland relationship. But since Haaland's arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. He's been at Dortmund now over a year. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him and he's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. Next year, his £68 million release clause becomes active. Now, I want to delve into some news on David De Gea. So, Man United could sell David De Gea this summer. And we're looking at Donnarumma as a replacement for De Gea. It says we are considering a summer bid for Donnarumma. Donnarumma may be convinced to leave AC Milan. Now, Solskjaer recently said that we are prepared to sell either De Gea or Dean Henderson in the summer. Solskjaer has already warned David De Gea that his number 1 jersey is under threat. Paul Scholes came out recently and said that De Gea is becoming a real problem for Man United. But he's going to remain our number 1 for this season at least. This is De Gea's 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been a long servant. De Gea has made over 500 appearances for the club in all competitions. In the last couple of years, De Gea has made calamitous mistakes, so reflect on that has become a liability. But a few years ago, he was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world. If we sell De Gea in the summer, I think we can get from between 50 to 60 million pounds. Dean Henderson, he'll leave Man United if he isn't guaranteed the number 1 role for next season. There's a few Premier League clubs that are in for Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson has done well in the games he's played in this season. Solskjaer recently admitted that it's becoming more and more difficult to leave Dean Henderson out of the side. He does need a run in goal. I think Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our number 1 anyway, because he has got that experience behind him. He did endure 2 successful loans with Sheffield United. And before the start of this season, Dean Henderson signed a 6-year contract with Man United, so he committed his long-term future with the club. So that's a bit more news on that. I think a few players will leave Man United in the summer transfer window. I think there's a good chance that Juan Mata will leave the club. Juan Mata doesn't really play a lot now, does he? Juan Mata's current contract expires in the summer, but we do have an option to trigger his contract for a further year. Juan Mata's had a good career at Manchester United. He's been at the club now over 6 years. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Earlier on this season, he rejected an £18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. Phil Jones, I'm expecting him to leave this year. Phil Jones doesn't get in our 11. I'm surprised Phil Jones didn't leave in January. But Solskjaer said he's going to be given a second chance. He's been out of injury for over a year now. This is Phil Jones' 10th season at Manchester United. He's been a long servant. He's the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Do you think there's a chance we'll offload Matic in the summer? Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances. And he's had some good games at Man United. He's also had poor games. I've always had my reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player. And obviously he's aging up now. Matic has been at the club now almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. And there's still a good chance that Paul Pogba will leave the football club in the summer. Paul Pogba has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him and Juventus have been in for him. I think there's a good chance Paul Pogba will go back to Juventus because he did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus before he rejoined Man United, and there was narratives from the Italian press that said Juventus offered us 4 players in exchange for Paul Pogba. It said recently we had revealed our asking price for Pogba. We want £100 million. I'm very sceptical we'll get £100 million. Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Oriola, is desperate to get his client out of the club this summer. Mini Oriola's been criticised a lot, and he doesn't have a good relationship with Man United, and this is why he recently admitted that he was working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence. And he made the announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and Solskjaer was furious with Mini Oriola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. The other week it said we've held talks with Paul Pogba regarding his future, and Solskjaer said that Pogba's happy at the club and he suggested he could sign a new contract. If we can't get a replacement for Pogba in the summer, then there's a chance he will sign a new contract. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, so he's under contract with Man United until June 2022. It came out back in January saying that Paul Pogba was considering making a U-turn at the club, and he contradicted his agent, Mini Oriola, for the second time. Pogba's our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid £89 million for him. He's been a big miss for us. He's out with a thigh injury at the moment. Solskjaer confirmed prior to the game against Sociedad that Paul Pogba's going to be out for the rest of February, so he should be back in early March. Earlier on this season, Pogba had an ankle injury and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So there you go. Solskjaer recently confirmed that he has the backing of the owners to get the players he wants to recommend in, such as Erling Haaland. It came out the other week saying that we are prepared to smash our transfer record in the summer, and Ed Woodward is set to hand Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a huge war chest. Has our transfer budget been revealed? It recently said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants 3 summer signings. It said he actually wants a striker, a right winger and a centre-half. And he said he's set to sit down with Ed Woodward to negotiate our business in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, now we only want a centre-half and a forward. We don't want a right winger because of Mason Greenwood. But this year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career because we do need to make more signings. So yeah, I'm expecting the board to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the summer transfer window. I don't think the board have backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough so far. And Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ole, and he did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. Ole has endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. Yeah, he has made good signings. He's brought players like Dan James, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. He's brought Fernandes in. He did bring Odion Ighalo in on loan. But obviously, Ighalo said his farewells to the club in January. And obviously, he's brought players like Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Amad Diallo, Traore and Facundo Pellistri. Yeah, we loaned Facundo Pellistri out in the January transfer window. But like I said, Solskjaer hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. Solskjaer spent over £200 million. Despite the pandemic, I'm still expecting us to do business in the summer transfer window. But yeah, there has been a lot of players on our agenda. The news on Jules Koundé. Apparently, he's our top target for the summer. Apparently, we are prepared to pay around £61 million for Koundé. La Razón, which is a Spanish outlet, they recently said that we are considered the favourites to sign Jules Koundé. His performances for Sevilla have been outstanding this season. He's played 70-odd games. He's been at Sevilla nearly 2 years now. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. He's a centre-half, and we definitely need a centre-half. We need someone to go alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. It said the other week that we had a 5-man centre-back shortlist. And there was recent narratives coming out regarding Kalidou Koulibaly as well. But like I said, it was a disappointing January transfer window for us because we only saw one arrival, and that was Amad Diallo Traore. But Solskjaer said a few times during the January transfer window that he wasn't expecting any signings. Yeah, to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's credit, he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in. I'm expecting Solskjaer to sign a new contract at the end of this season. I think he does deserve a new contract, reflecting on the progress he's made. It recently said that Solskjaer's future is in doubt because Solskjaer admitted that nobody spoke to him over a new contract. But there was narratives coming out a few weeks ago saying that we will wait until the end of the season to begin contract talks with Solskjaer, and it says we could offer him a new 2-year deal on one condition, that's if we qualify for the Champions League. Solskjaer's into the final 18 months of his current contract. When Solskjaer got the job permanently back in March 2019, he signed a 3-year contract with the club, didn't he? But yeah, I am Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in, definitely. I don't know if he's the long-term manager for Man United. Time will tell. This is his 3rd season, his 2nd full season. He's going to be given at least another season at the football club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer must win a trophy as Manchester United manager to avoid the sack. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, and the club of our stature need to be winning trophies now. The FA Cup's a chance of a trophy, and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. Like I updated you this morning, Solskjaer still insists that Man United are in the title race despite a 10-point gap. Obviously said that after our 3-1 win against Newcastle. It was a good win for Man United against Newcastle, but it weren't the best of performances. But all that matters is we got back to winning ways. Prior to the game against Newcastle, we'd only won 1 of our last 5 in the Premier League. We also had a very, very good result against Sociedad in the Europa League. Round of 32 first leg, we won 4-0. But Solskjaer said after our 1-1 draw West Brom, we're still in the title race. So, I just think he's playing mind games. It'll take a miracle now for us to win the Premier League this season. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. I think we'll win another title at some point, but I don't know when. But Manchester City are the champions elect. We're 2nd in the league though, which is good. Top 4 is obviously now our aim. I can almost assure that we are going to finish in the top 4. It would be a disaster if we finished out of the top 4. But like I've said to you, if we're finishing the top 4 this season, we win a trophy, I think that would represent a good season for Ollie in that, and then it'd give us something to build on going on into next season. But yeah, we have seen consistency under Solskjaer, when we've had them good periods. We've also had bad periods under him as well, and, Solskjaer was lucky not to be sacked earlier on this season. We was poor at the first part of last season. We enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years, and Solskjaer has been criticised a lot. But yeah, Solskjaer deserves credit, because he's got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals. It's going to be a tough game against Leicester. He got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost to Man City 2-0. He's more or less got us to the Europa League last 16. Did well last season in his first full season at the club. Got us qualification for the Champions League, got us third and guided us to 3 semi-finals. We also went on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions last season. We was 14 unbeaten in the Premier League. There's been some games as well where Solskjaer's got the best out of the team. There's certain players that are improving as well. We've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. We are unbeaten in our last 9 away games in all competitions. We've been far better away from home than we have been at home. We've won more games recently at Old Trafford, but all our defeats have come at Old Trafford this season. Ole's been Man United manager now over 2 years. It's flown by. We appointed him in December 2018 to replace Mourinho, and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. Solskjaer hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager, but reflecting now on his being at the club, he's gained some managerial experience. Before he was at Mulder, and before Mulder, he was at Cardiff. And don't forget, Solskjaer did manage the Man United reserve team, so he did watch some of this team grow and develop. So, like I said, in regards to Solskjaer, he's got decisions to make in the summer transfer window. He's got to decide on what players he's going to bring in and what players, he's going to get rid of. So, there you go. But, we have got some very, very good players. You've obviously got Dean Henderson that's done well this season. You've got Luke Shaw that's done well. He's really, really improved, Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's getting forward well. He's putting good crosses into the box. Defensively he's been superb. And Luke Shaw's still our first choice left back, despite the arrival of Alex Telles last summer. Luke Shaw's had a good career at Manchester United, apart from his injuries. He's been at the club now over 6 years. And Wan-Bissaka, I've been impressed with him in games this season. There's been some games where he's got forward well and he's took players on at the edge of the box and he's put good crosses in. He needs to get forward more though, Bissaka. Defensively, most of the time he's been superb, Wan-Bissaka. This is Wan-Bissaka's second full season at the football club. Eric Bay, I think, he's also done well in the games he's played in this season. But he's too injury prone, Eric Bay. But I certainly prefer him to Victor Lindelof. Fred, he's really, really improved. He's getting forward more, his passing's getting better, and Fred breaks up the play well sometimes. Fred's been at the club now a few years. We got Fred in a deal worth £52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. Fred was a world-class player during his time in Ukraine. Like I said, Paul Pogba, we've got the best out of him in recent months. Scott McTominay, he's enjoyed good games this season. McTominay's been part of the club for several years. Donny van der Beek is a good player when he plays. Donny van der Beek hasn't played nowhere near as much as I expected. He's only started 2 games in the league so far this season. Most of Donny van der Beek's appearances come from the bench. Solskjaer made an admission earlier on this season saying that Donny van der Beek is unhappy at the club because of his lack of game time. But Solskjaer's promised him more game time at Man United. we need to play him more. We got Donny van der Beek in a deal worth £40 million, didn't we? And he can play in like 3 different roles. He's been out of a muscle injury recently, as Donny van der Beek, by the way. Bruno Fernandes, he's made a fantastic impact. He's an exceptional player, Bruno Fernandes. He's our best player and is the best signing we have made since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Totally made the difference in the team. In most of his games at Man United, he's been very, very consistent. There's only been a few games where he has looked off the pace. He's won Player of the Month now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. Bruno Fernandes did say on his 12-month anniversary that he's planning on spending many years at Manchester United. And he denies that he needs a rest because obviously he wants to help the club win trophies. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that we was 3 months into contract talks with Bruno Fernandes. His current contract expires in 2025. There's also an option to extend for the further 12 months. We initially paid £47 million for Fernandes. The overall cost with add-ons is just over £67 million. Edinson Cavani, I think he's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. Cavani's recently been out with a muscle injury. Solskjaer recently said that Cavani is set for contract extension talks because Cavani wants to stay at Man United beyond this season. So I presume we'll trigger that 1-year extension on his current contract. He'll stay for next season, then he'll go. There's been narratives coming out saying that Boca Juniors want Edinson Cavani. Edinson Cavani's into like the final 4 months of his current contract. We got him on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract with an option of a 2nd year. But Cavani's hold-up play is good. His movement in and out of the box is very, very good. He creates chances and he also scores goals. Mason Greenwood, I've also been very, very impressed with him. He's been good, Mason Greenwood, since he broke into our first team squad. He made his debut back in 2019. Greenwood's been at the club since the age of 7. He's made 80-odd first-team appearances, and not so long ago, Greenwood signed a 4-year contract with Man United. That keeps him at the club until 2025. There's also an option to extend for a further year. Earlier on this season, didn't really have much of a perception on Mason Greenwood because obviously he was out with injury. At one point he had personal issues and at one point he had illness. But Ollie's been defending him a lot this season. Greenwood's done well recently, despite not scoring. He does very, very well on that right-hand side. And in a lot of games I've been very impressed with Rashford. He's obviously had bad games and he's enjoyed bad periods. But still a very, very good player. We just need to keep Marcus Rashford out wide on the left because that's where he's more effective. So there you go. So like I've said, our current squad's good enough to finish at least in the top 4. I think we've got to start beating some of the big teams in the Premier League this season because we struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League this season. But there you go, and like I say, Solskjaer's still inheriting players from other managerial eras. Obviously, Ole's our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson. We sacked 3 managers since Ferguson. That was David Moyes, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, and we're not even really known as a sacking football club. So anyway guys, there'll be another video coming up later. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.